Harry Kane needs to leave Tottenham. In the Premier League era, Harry Kane pretty much is Tottenham. Obviously, we've seen the likes of Sol Campbell, Robbie Keane, Gareth Bale, Luka Modric all run out at White Hart Lane, but no one summarises Tottenham Hotspur like Harry Kane does. But I think even Spurs fans would agree with me now in saying that Harry Kane has had his time at Tottenham Hotspur and they do need to let him move on now. Here to discuss this with me, ironically as an Arsenal fan, Harry Kane's old team. Dan, what do you think of this whole situation? Should Harry Kane be allowed to move on, or do you think that Daniel Levy is right in his stubbornness here to keep Harry Kane at Tottenham Hotspur?
Oh, well, I mean, again, it comes back down to them. Both are, good arguments to have. I think from the player's perspective, he's got to take a look at himself now and say, right, when am I going to win some proper silverware? And it's got to come from him.
Can I just, hold on, silverware. Not proper silverware. Just silverware. Proper silverware insinuates that he's won like a Conference League. He's won nothing.
Oh, no, but you're forgetting about the famous Audi Cup, mate. That famous one, the one that, Jamie O'Hara still dines off. That one. They had a DVD out and all sorts.
Quality.
It's gathering dust in all those cabinets they got.
Yeah.
They're still empty. But look, I mean, coming from it's got to come from the player. At some point, he's got to say, do you know what? Fuck this. I've got no chance here. He's got more chance of finding silverware in his top drawer in the kitchen. Do you know what I mean? He's just not going to do it. He's scoring loads of goals for him. He's their best player by miles. He wants to be the outright English Premier League scorer. He wants to beat Alan Shearer. So he's going to want to try and stay in the Premier League. But as I say, where's he going to go?
Well, the potential suitors at the moment, the main ones we're hearing about, we've got Man United and Real Madrid. Okay? Initially, I look at the pros and cons of both teams, right? The main pro of going to Man United is you are going to break the Premier League goal scorer record. There's no doubt you're going to do it, yeah? Harry Kane, on the sort of form he's on at the moment, he can do it in 2 seasons. And I said this before and someone went, 47... It's not that much. 23 one season, 24 the next season. What did he score this season?
I think he got 30... Did he get 32?
Yeah, right. Kane got 30 in the league this season.
Yeah.
So, bar an injury, 23 one season, 24, if anything, to be slightly underwhelming for him. You know what I mean? He's going to get it. You also never know. Goes into a better team. There's no denying that Man United are a better team than Spurs. You don't know what happens with the service. I'm telling you now, he would have got in and around just as many as Haaland in that Man City team. There was a point halfway through the season when that argument or that point that I've just made there would have been looked at as sort of rubbished upon and looked at as a silly point. But actually, now all said and done, he would have scored probably just about as many as Haaland. He would have had more goal involvements than Haaland, yeah, when you look at assists also. Bearing in mind he's won the... what do they call it? The silver boot? The one for the assists?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever that is. So obviously, there's the pros. Pros are that you can guarantee with Man United you're going to break that goal scoring record. Yeah. You can also guarantee with Man United you're going to win silverware. But we have said about major silverware. Okay. So bearing in mind, if you're 20, you can go, oh yeah, couple of Carling Cups, FA Cups here and there. It's not even called the Carling Cup now. Show major. What even is it?
League Cup. The Carabao Cup. But I remember it when it was the Coca-Cola Cup, mate.
Yeah. So say for example, brilliant. Okay, you can pick up a few of them at Man United. The other option is Real Madrid. Now the problem with Real Madrid, the con for Real Madrid is the goal scoring record. You have to put that to the back of your mind for 1 second. Yeah. The pro with Real Madrid, Tchouaméni, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Bellingham, Valverde. Do I need to go? I don't really need to go on, do I? No. If you go to Real Madrid, you pick up league titles, definitely. 2-horse race in that league, and you pick up league titles over a 4-year contract. I would say if you sign a 4-year contract, you definitely pick up a Champions League. You'd be a brave man to put your money against Real Madrid with that team I've just named, that squad there, not winning a Champions League in the next 4 seasons. Bearing in mind, they are the kings of the competition, 14 Champions Leagues in their history. Yeah. So... And then the other thing with Real Madrid is you look at it and you go, say you sign a 4-year contract here, you go till 34, you could still come back and break that goal scoring record.
You could do.
Because if you signed a 3-year contract till you're 37, I wouldn't put it past him getting 15 goals a year.
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we've seen it. Players who look after themselves and, dedicated to the game, Cristiano Ronaldo, Case in point, he came back. Everyone thought he'd struggled. I thought he did quite well for Man United while he was there.
Yeah, I did.
I think Man United, if they'd kept him, and both parties had married up, he would have scored more goals as well. Harry Kane, as I say, I think you're right. Man United would probably be the obvious move. Real Madrid, I can't see how that now works because they've spent that money on Bellingham. However, as we've seen with the Spanish league, Barcelona and Real Madrid can come up with money from somewhere. God knows where. But it wouldn't surprise me. However, with losing Benzema as well, they'd want to replace it. So it would make sense.
Almost a like for like.
Yeah, almost. Almost. But yeah, as I say, I think Real Madrid would be good for him. He'd score goals. He'd do quite well. I mean, he struggles with English. I don't think he's going to pick up Spanish that well. Do you know what I mean?
Have you ever seen that thing of All or Nothing when he's like, his little pep talk, and I'm like, fuck it.
I know, exactly.
You
Do you know what I
haven't
mean?
done your best man speech.
And even then they had to put fucking subtitles on that. But no, the Spanish interviews are just not going to be great there. But that's the comical side of it. But as I say, I think personally, I've said this to you before. Again, he wants to win stuff. He wants to have that, all-time scoring record. So I think Premier League is the destination. Man United would be the obvious one. They need a striker. Desperately need a striker. I don't think Rashford's the man that's going to get them 25 to 30 goals a season. Harry Kane would. But then again, we're also forgetting about Newcastle.
Yeah.
So again, there's that project that's starting to develop there as well. So it's like, if that came in, would he be adverse to going there? They're in the Champions League. Spurs aren't. He stays in Premier League. Even if he stays there for a season and scores 30 goals.
Not that it's going to massively play on his mind, but there is something from a football fan's perspective, who's a neutral in this, as both of us are, saying it very poetic about him going there and breaking Shearer's goal record, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Shearer would be happy to give him over the goal record if he signed for Newcastle, being a Newcastle fan.
Exactly. I think most people, when the goal scoring records are broken, Ian Wright was the same material. And really held it for so long where he was like, look, you're a worthy guy, fair play to you. So I think, the older professionals, they want to keep that record for as long as possible. But when they see that there's an exceptional player breaking it, then, they're happy to give it up. I just think it would be... I don't like Harry Kane at all, even though he started off as a gooner.
Could finish off as a gooner.
Oh, mate.
No, that'd never happen.
That'd never happen.
He ain't got that sort of Sol Campbell bottle, has he? Campbell's still getting it now. I see things of people giving him grief even recently. Like,
he loves it, mate.
Yeah.
He loves it. That's the thing with Sol Campbell. He loves it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Harry Kane could do that. I think he's not that side.
A lot of players ain't got the bottle to do that sort of thing.
No.
Gerrard had more or less agreed terms with us, man, and it's not like that's Liverpool to Everton. I'm saying Liverpool to Chelsea. We're only a team with no history, mate. You might as well come over. You'd have had a bit more if you had to come with us. Couple of league titles.
I mean, look, football is a funny old game, as they say. I don't think that Arsenal would get him. However, if there was a chance and we did, that'd boil some serious piss. That would, but that's not going to happen.
I reckon he'd start over Nketiah, hadn't
he? Well, I don't know. I think Eddie's got a little bit of grace with the manager. Who knows? He'd have to earn his way in the team.
His side. Do you think the Newcastle option's realistic though? It's not really been spoke of amongst the media as it has amongst people like me and you in a pub or something, sitting there going, "Oh man, he went to Newcastle." Do you think that's a realistic option? I know they've got Isaac there, but who don't need a Harry Kane?
It could be. I could even throw another one in there. Do you know what I mean? Liverpool, Darwin Núñez has not been hitting all cylinders. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're going to talk about how his season's been, you could safely say he's been a flop, in my opinion. Anyone from Man United, Newcastle, Liverpool, right, us as a joke, but any one of them could attract him. Anybody, even Chelsea.
What did I say about the profile of a Chelsea striker?
Yeah, and this is what I've said to you before. I know I've said this to you before.
Out of them teams you've just named, sorry to interrupt you though, I don't know. You don't have to agree with me. Do you not think out of them teams you've just named, but fuck the season we've just had off, he bangs the most goals for Chelsea?
Yeah.
He actually does.
Yeah.
Systematically, Harry Kane in the Chelsea team.
I've been saying this to you for months. Even though Chelsea have been playing absolutely dog shit.
Yeah.
You've just got Pochettino. He played his best football, arguably, under that man. I think he would follow him into battle wherever that man goes. So if Chelsea were to say, right, we're going to give you this, he would probably move to Chelsea to play under the manager, because he knows then that it's going to go in the right direction. He's still in the Premier League, so he can still get a season potentially of like 30 goals. He's closer to the record then. And as I say, it would be a travesty for him. As I say, I'm not really a Harry Kane fan, but it would be a travesty for him to break the record, being the all-time scorer at Spurs, and finish your career with fuck all. No one can sit there and say, oh, well, it's not all about trophies. Well, it is.
Yeah, of course.
Because you can't call him the greatest. Yeah, he scored loads of goals, but even Alan Shearer's got a Premier League title. When all is said and done, what do we talk about the most as football fans? Trophies. We talk about, oh, do you remember when that FA Cup final? Do you remember that Champions League final? Do you remember who won the league in this season? No one sits in a pub and goes, God, do you remember the top scorer of all time? No one sits there and does that. No one gives a shit who scored 30, 40 goals. Essentially, it's what you've done at the end of it, because sooner or later that's, it becomes less and less relevant, and it just drifts into the past, and no one really cares about how many Harry Kane's scored. What did he win? What finals has he been in? Those are the questions that will always be asked. So as I say, he has to now think long and hard. I think his time at Spurs is done. That
leads me on to it then. Does he choose to stay, or is he forced to stay? Because I'll put it out there now, the most likely destination that we see Harry Kane play his football next season is Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I don't think they let him go, and I think maybe even Kane himself, instead of running down his contract, ends up just going, oh, fuck it, I'll just settle for the all-time top goal scorer and not winning anything and whatever. And listen, as much as I'm a Chelsea fan, you're an Arsenal fan, we're all going to have bias on it, yeah. It's not guaranteed he doesn't win anything at Tottenham. They could win a Carling Cup. They could win a Conference League, Yeah. I look at the fact that they like tapped out of that Conference League, and we'll get onto this when we speak about West Ham, but it's like, all right, mate, like, you've already won the Champions League. Like, I wouldn't tap out of that Conference League like you did and forfeit a game, basically. I know that was Conte's decision, but where do you think the most likely place we see Harry Kane play his football next season is?
I'd have to say Man United.
Do you think that's the most likely?
The most likely.
Over Spurs, yeah?
Over Spurs. There's
a takeover going on. It'd be 30 by the time he gets transferred. He's 28th of July or something. I think he's got the same birthday as my sister. He's also won the same amount of trophies as my sister. No. I think like with the obviously takeover going on at Man United, one, we don't know how long that's going to be dragged out. Two, we don't know how quickly the owners are going to want to go, right, let's make a statement signing. Have we heard Ten Hag speak about him? I don't know. Like, we might have done.
But I mean, listen, Man United desperately need somebody up front. Desperately.
And who don't need Harry Kane? Yeah.
So this is what I mean. He solves a lot of problems for a lot of teams. For Newcastle, he solves a big problem because Callum Wilson, as good as he is, I really rate Callum Wilson, by the way. I think he's a great player. Isak, again, he's another good player, but he comes, in my mind, he's like one of those kind of on replays. He drifts in. He's, for me, Newcastle would be another attractive proposition. Because don't forget, they've backed Eddie Howe. They're going to back him even more.
Yeah.
And then them owners are going to want to see a serious return. So they're going to chuck as much as possible. And why not? You get paid shitloads of money.
And Champions League football for them could be the straw that breaks the camel's back sort of thing. Like you don't. Yeah, it's holding up really well right now.
Yeah.
But you had another European you had a European competition in there. That could be hard, man. They definitely need depth there.
Yeah.
I'm not classing Kane as depth, but maybe Kane comes in and Callum Wilson becomes depth. Yeah. Maybe other strikers.
But those goals give them breathing space, and obviously with Kane, he's another option to set up assists and stuff like that. So, he benefits any one of those top 6-7 teams. But for me, I mean, if he realistically wants to be known as a great striker or remembered as a great player, he's got to go somewhere else.
For me personally, I'm going to say that Harry Kane ends up playing next season at Spurs. I'd say so. I'd say Tottenham Hotspur is the club that Harry Kane plays and bangs in goals for fun next season, even though I don't see him having a great season. Be very interested to know what you lot think about this situation. Does Harry Kane stay at Spurs? If you're a Spurs fan, would you agree that he needs a move, or do you think that Daniel Levy's doing the right thing here, playing hardball and not selling Kane on? Let me know in the comments. As soon as this video goes live, I'll be replying to every single one of you. So get your comments in and you'll hear back from me. I'll see you all in the next one.